Hey there, Vanagon addicts. This is Ken Wolford here at Vanagon, coming at you live and direct from Network 23. Oh, never mind. Nobody gets that one. So good to see you guys out here today. Hope you're going to come out and be with us today on our live stream. We're starting a little bit early today, around 4:30 Eastern time, just to try to get done early. I want to try to be done by 5:30. As we said before, we're working really hard all week. We get down to the end. I want to come on here. I want to be with you guys and spend some time answering questions and stuff like that. But I'm really tired. So it's like, you're worn out, you're tired, end of the week, looking forward to going to Applebee's or get a big juicy steak or something like that. So, or I could be sitting here talking to you. So it's kind of like one of those, like this, and then the steak thing starts going like this. All right, so that's what's happening. So good to have you guys here. Hope you're able to be with us today. I just wanted to give a shout out to anybody who's down in Texas area, Hurricane Harvey victims. You guys are in our prayers and thoughts that way. Also, Hurricane Irma. We're keeping an eye on that. And again, we're thinking about you guys down there in Florida and praying about that. I have a brother-in-law lives down there. My sister used to live down there for many, many years. She passed away a couple of years ago now. So we'll see what happens there. I keep praying that it's just gonna do like this number.
What about all the people out in like California and Montana?
Yeah, then we've got on the West Coast, of course, we've got all the fires and things and stuff going on there. And we were out there back in 2011. There was a lot of fires then. We had a hard time going from like Montana over to Washington State. It was very smoky and, not safe to do stuff outside because of all the fires. We got all the way to Seattle and they finally dissipated. So our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Hope you guys are, able to had a good Labor Day, had some time to take off. Of course, people tried to contact me, call me on Labor Day. I don't know. They expected miracles again. I was going to lay hands on their Vanagon through the phone. I mean, I'm not a televangelist, so, I can't send you like a magical cloth to put on top of your television. And then when I, say words over it, you can touch it to your van and it'll be healed. Okay. So, if, calling me on a holiday, I didn't pick up, sorry. But Labor Day is supposed to be actually non-Labor Day, so I was observing that. I think it's a law. If it isn't, it should be. And I didn't really do anything. I didn't even go outside because if I come outside and I see vans and things, I'm going to start doing work. So I just didn't do that. I hid in the house. So that was how I spent my Labor Day, hiding from work. So that's good. I hope you guys had a good day. You got a chance to go do some stuff. I know some of you guys are actually heading out today, maybe to go get on the road and do some stuff and things that way. So again, doing this a little early, maybe you can actually watch us. I want to give a shout out to Kostas in Greece. I don't know if he's going to be able to be with us today or not, but I finally found out his name by putting it into the Google Translator, and we got to see his real name was Kostas instead of just Greaseman. So now, hello to Kostas, who'll probably be here eventually. But it's good to have you guys with us. I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. I don't know if anybody's actually here. I see 3 viewers.
Steve Reuter is here.
Steve, okay.
And Billy Shepard is here.
Okay.
They both say hi, and then Billy says, "Anybody home?"
Yeah, it doesn't. I think we're on our own today, Billy. I think we're low today for whatever reason. But that's okay. I got some things to talk about. Maybe people will jump on as we're talking about stuff. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was coolant system leaks. We talked about this a few times. And I don't know if we really beat the horse to death yet, but, the Vanagon has so many little small hoses, junctions, places for leaks, and a lot of people just ignore them and think they're going to go away. Eventually, your van will go away. That's about the only thing that's going to go away. So one of the things, actually, I want to talk about 2 different places that could be potential leak sources. Let me grab one of them real quick. Okie doke. So the first thing I want to talk about leak source is this deal right here. Okay, this is your coolant tank. This is what they call the expansion tank. So you have two tanks. You have one that's behind the license plate. That is just an overflow tank. That is just for PR. That's your PR tank. What do I mean by that? That's the thing that actually basically means nothing. Okay, because whether that's full or empty or whatever is going on there, it actually doesn't matter. Okay, the people at Volkswagen made that tank. Yeah, nothing. That was no noise in the background. People in Volkswagen made that tank so that you could flip open your license plate door, see water things in there, see your oil and stuff like that, and feel happy inside your soul. But in reality, you know, it doesn't do a whole lot. You can add a little bit to that. It'll eventually suction into the system. But really, the tank you need to worry about is this one right here. Okay, this is the one you have to open the engine lid to get to. It's the one that has the blue pressure cap on it. Okay, a note on that. If you look at yours and it has a black cap, that means that is at least 15 years old. Okay, because they haven't made or sold the black caps in like at least 15 years. And the reason why they got rid of them, because they had problems with them. So if you have a black cap, guess what? You automatically need a blue cap. Okay, this is your pressure cap. You need this to be in good working condition in order for your cooling system to work properly. You can see on the bottom it's got like a valve in there. Okay, it actually has a two valve that does two different jobs. It actually lets things come in and lets things go out. So if you have too much pressure, it can push some stuff out. If you have not enough pressure, like when you shut it off at night and this is low, it'll allow it to suction in through this little deal right here. Now, I will show you the most scientific way to make sure this is actually good. Are you ready? And now a flock of ducks will attack. All right, if you can blow into this and make that sound, okay, it's fine. And if you suck on it, it shouldn't do anything. Okay, so you try to suck on it and nothing comes out, then it's good. If you try to blow into it and it just goes whoosh, or if you try to suck on it and you just suck like 12 gallons of antifreeze, that's bad. Okay, so we have these on our site. Now these ones are the only ones I like. They're made by a company called Blau, which is a German company. I don't like any of the other ones. I've had other manufacturer ones be bad, like right out of the box, brand new. You can't make that sound. Okay, I know you like that. That's why I keep doing it. So, so check this. Okay, if this is bad, I think we have these on our site for $18, something like that. I mean, it's cheap insurance, because if that's not working right, then this is not going to work right. So this tank here, you put this cap on, you screw it on, make a nice tight seal like that. Then what happens is this pressurizes. Okay, as you raise the pressure of water or coolant or whatever you want to call it, as you raise that pressure, the boiling point also increases. Okay, so that means the amount of temperature that is required to boil this antifreeze goes up. Okay, so if this is not pressurized, this cap is not working, then your boiling point is lower, which is what, 180 something, and it's gonna, your coolant can flash boil, and you can have an air bubble in your engine and stuff like that. So you want this tank to be working properly. Definitely the cap is part of it. The other problem they have sometimes is the seam right here. Okay, so if you see your tank and you're actually supposed to fill it all the way up to here. This is what I do. Okay, now on this tank right here it says min. Okay, that means bare minimum. I completely ignore that. I always fill it all the way to this. Okay, so if you're filling it, you fill it all the way to the top. Okay, if you have one that can only stay full to here, what can possibly be happening is sometimes it'll be leaking out of this seam right here. You don't want that. Okay, so get a new tank. It'll come with a brand new cap on it. If you buy it from us, somebody else, I don't know what it's going to have, because I don't have powers that way. Okay, you also should buy a new level sending unit. Okay, this is your level sending unit for the coolant level. Okay, a lot of people email me, Ken, my van's overheating. Why is your van overheating? Well, that red light at the temperature gauge is blinking. Okay, that's not actually overheating. Okay, that is actually your coolant level. Okay, so if your red light is blinking on your temperature gauge, that is right here in this tank. It is low, most likely. Now, some people have a problem with that happening all the time, no matter what they do. This tank's full, everything's full, still blinking. You know, it can be a problem with the gauge itself, the light. There's some circuitry inside the temperature gauge that can go bad. But most of the time, or some of the wiring to this right here could also be bad. But most of the time, it's a problem with either this level. If it's not the level, then it can be the sender is old and needs to be replaced. So the cheapest thing to do, if you're having the flashing light, fill this up, see if it goes away. Most of the time, yes, it does go away. Second thing to do, replace this, okay? As you're replacing this level sending unit, I think these are like $9 or something on our site. Inspect this hole here where it mounts, because it can have hairline cracks, radial cracks out of here, and it will leak. So you put this in, you put this brand new one into this old tank. The old tank's all yellow, and it looks like a mummy from the Escape from the Mummy's Tomb. And you're like, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. Okay? And then it starts leaking all around there. Because guess what? It's got all these little cracks here you didn't know were there, and it won't seal. Okay? So the best thing to do is, if this is bad, and this thing is super yellow and looks like it's from came over on the Ark, replace that too at the same time. It's not that expensive. The tanks we have are Melee tanks. They're great. They're good tanks. I've been using them for a long time. I mean, if you get a super overheat, the only thing I've ever found with the new tanks is that they can like balloon. Then you need another new tank. But if it's super overheated that much, you probably did other bad naughtiness as well. All right, so this is my little infomercial on these tanks. Look at yours. Check it out. Okay. Make sure, like I said, this cap is doing its work. Okay. If it's not doing its work, then you need to at least get a new one of them. I had a couple come here several years ago. They said our van is overheating, and it was actually wound up being this cap right here, because their van, probably there was some marginal stuff going on with their radiator, and it was this was not pressurizing, so the water was boiling and locking up their whole system. Once I put this new one on, it fixed it, and they drove away. Mission accomplished. All right, so do you got any questions? I'm rambling on.
Just somebody saying, Indigenous Pathway says, thanks for the info. We'll check and order if necessary. And then they said, my warning light came on in high 90s temp with AC on full blast. Level was fine, but my mechanic determined my radiator is old and not efficient anymore. My coolant gauge reads correctly.
Yeah, radiators are a wear item. A lot of people don't realize that. So they feel like, hey, it's not leaking, therefore it must be great. But radiators get clogged on the inside, and then they won't work efficiently. Then it'll overheat. So I think I've talked about this before. You can kind of see if that's happening, if it's overheating or getting like the needles coming up, and you're driving down the road. Turn on your heater, your front heater, your back heater, turn them both on and run the heater and see if your temperature needle starts going down. Okay? And if it does, usually that means your radiator is dying. And you're using your front heater core and your back heater core as like mini radiators. And they're actually shedding heat when your main big one should be doing it all alone. So, yep, so definitely radiators are a thing. We definitely have them on our site. I think we talked about them a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as we got done, somebody bought one. So there you go. So thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it. All right, so this is one little story, and now its tale has been told. Okay, let's go to the next story.
While you were doing that thing with the blowing through it, Mom was like, what note was that? I think it was a flat note.
Yeah, that was a B flat.
Josh
B
Smith,
for Vanagon flat.
Josh Smith just asked, what temperature does the light start to flash?
I'm not sure. The light, I mean, the whole gauge is really just, it's not accurate. It's not calibrated. Okay, so it's really just supposed to be like a guideline. and it's supposed to just let you know, you can kind of see where it normally is, and then when it gets like not in the center or not slightly to the right or left, like wherever it normally is, then you know something's up. So I don't really know if there's an actual real temperature that light's coming on at. The other problem you have with the light thing is the early vans, like 84, 85, had this weird thing where they would, like the lights would come on, the lights would come on, start blinking, and then the gauge would just totally peg out. Okay? And it would scare the pants off of everyone. And they would go, oh, my van completely overheated. And like people would call me like, my van overheated completely. I'm like, what happened? They said, I started it and ran it for 2 minutes, and the red lights started flashing, and the needle pegged all the way out. I'm like, listen, it could not possibly overheat in 2 minutes of running. Like the whole motor was like almost stone cold in 2 minutes. Okay, but because they had that weird thing where it would blink and then peg the gauge out, so it was like full hot. It just freaked everybody out. I think they were trying to freak people out. Like, oh, if we do this, they will pull over. I don't know who that was supposed to be, but they'll pull over. They'll get scared, and we wean like World War III. We wean. Okay, so so that was kind of what was happening. But later they decided, we don't want to scare people too bad. We have to clean up the stuff later when they come into the dealership because they kept, being so scared. So we will stop that. So like 86 to 91, they got rid of that. Just blinks, and you can still see kind of the temperature. The only bad part on the newer ones is where the gauge sending unit is in a high spot in the cooling system. So if you lose a lot of antifreeze, your temperature will actually go down because now your gauge is trying to read air and not cool it and not hot cool it. So yeah, not the best design ever. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on from the wonderful world of coolant bottles, which we all love. I mean, I love that world. But we're going to move to another world, okay? And this is a dark and dangerous world where very few people ever venture. And it is called underneath of your back seat of your van. Okay? This is a whole nother world. Now, people venture there to take random crap that they have and throw it under there and never look at it again. How do I know that? Because I have to deal with that stuff. And like I will open it and there will be belts, V-belts under there, and tune-up situations under there, and underpants. I mean, whatever you can imagine is under there. Okay? And they have completely forgot all about all of that stuff. But, okay, it's under the back seat. Well, one of the things that's also under the back seat is this little beauty right here. Okay, this is your back heater core. Okay, and this is what happens when you turn that other fan switch that's over to the left. And people have asked me all the time, what is that? I'm like, that is for the back heater. There's a separate back heater core under the back seat if you have a water-cooled Vanagon. It has its own fan. Okay, I've had people that had left it on and didn't know how to turn it off. It's like kind of like the undiscovered country back there. And so one of the problems with this back heater core is that these were very notorious for going bad. They leak. They would seep here at the seam, okay, where you can't really see it, and it would seep here. Or usually when you take it out, the entire thing is just crusted with like 1,000 million years of antifreeze trying to leak out. And you've just completely ignored it forever. Okay. Sometimes there's a bleeder valve on here. Sometimes it's like used to be originally it was white plastic, and the white plastic just got hard where they just pop off. Okay. And antifreeze will spill everywhere. And it's not good. So I would check out your back heater core. The easiest way to test it is to turn on that fan. Do you smell antifreeze when you turn that on? Yes, I do, Kenneth. Yes, I do, Kenneth. Well, let me tell you, my friend, then it is leaking 100%. And why do I say that you're going to smell that when you turn that on? Because 99% of these out there have never been touched or messed with. Okay, so guess what? Now it's your job. You take up the challenge. Okay, we have these on our site. I was telling you guys also, we have the back. Don't look at my bald spot. We have the back. Yeah, I know you want to look at it. Don't look at it. Just avert your eyes. All right, now you cannot. Now you can't stop looking at it. All right. So we also have this rear valve thing right here that goes right here. Ready? Dock, International Space Station. Okay. So this is the Dragon module. Perfect. So this is the back valve for the back heater. Okay. And we have those as well. And sometimes these leak. This has a little O-ring in here that can leak. Okay. You definitely want to check this thing out, though. I'm telling you, 99% of these have never been replaced. They have been leaking. They're seeping. I see like stuff coming out from around it. If you look under your back seat, in the very center, there's like a grill. That is the grill for this heater right here. Okay. It's not really that bad, hard to change it either. To change this out, it's not that hard. The passenger vans, they have this plastic hood over it, and that's why you don't see it. In the campers, it has a wooden box over it. That's why you don't see it there. So as long as you don't see it, then you can just completely ignore it, right? Not really. Okay. So you can take that cover off. On the wooden one for the Westies, it just unscrews, comes out real easy. On the two-wheel drive or the passenger vans, it has this plastic hood. The easiest way to do that is to actually cut the plastic hood underneath of where the vent frame is coming out. Because if you don't cut it right there, you have to take the whole entire back seat out to get it out, and that's like why. And believe me, once you cut on either side of that frame, you just take a little hacksaw blade, go cut on the other side. Then you can take that hood off. No one will ever see it or know. You can't see it. Once you put it back together, you can't see that you just cut that. It's hidden completely. I know you will know, but no one else has to know. Okay? The bodies will never be found. Okay. All right. So that is this. Did I say that out loud? That is the back heater core. Definitely check it. If you're in an area where it's super hot all the time, Death Valley, you live there, you live in Death Valley for some reason, or the Badlands. The Badlands, which I think they actually get Badlands get cold in winter. But Death Valley, okay, then you don't need this thing. Throw that in the trash, right? I mean, you can bypass it if you want. If you never use it, you can bypass it, okay? But don't take it out of the car. Really, people, take it out of the car for what? Just things takes up this much space. I can use that space. It's so usable. No, it's not. No, give up. Stop doing that. Okay.
Josh
Leave it for the next person.
says, thanks for the answer listening from Iceland.
Iceland! Definitely need this right here. It's probably chilly there now.
Indigenous Pathway says, I can vouch that my 91 CHC leaked and had to have the entire core replaced a few years ago. Now happy warm times in their rear during winter.
Yeah.
And Jackbox asked earlier, how do you feel about a chicken switch for a rad fan?
A chicken switch. I need a chicken sandwich right now. Oh, that's not. I think I know what he's talking about. All right, so yeah, one other thing I want to mention on this. I mean, these things do put out nice heat. I think Volkswagen was going for overkill. I mean, the front heater core puts out nice heat. This puts out really nice heat. So here in New Jersey, when it gets down like really, really cold in the winter, like 20s or even less in the teens, you know, you turn this thing on and you turn the front one on and your van is doing good. It's toasting out. Okay. I mean, back in the day, them old heater box deals on the air cooleds, you all know it. Driving around with blankets on and stuff like that. Right? But this stuff here, if this stuff is right, it'll be toasty and warm in there. And it'll be great. And that guy in Iceland, he might even have like a secondary heater. Like they had like these diesel heaters, gas heaters that they would put especially if you're in a super cold area. That would heat up the coolant so that these things could, do work sooner. All right, so chicken switch. I'm thinking he's talking about like a manual switch for the radiator fan, possibly. Okay. I really don't like them at all, and I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because you don't want to have to think about turning your radiator fan on and off. You want it to just come on and off automatically, because I will tell you why. One day you will have a beautiful person that you love. Okay, now might not have happened yet, but one day, I promise you, I don't know what good that would do. That will happen, and this beautiful person that you love will say, "I need to borrow your Vanagon," and you will say, because you love them, and you can't live without them. You can't possibly make it. You will say, maybe. Okay. And then later, after they nag you for like hours, you'll say, okay, whatever. So when they drive your Vanagon and you have your switch on the dashboard to turn on your radiator fan, they will not know of this. And they will drive your Vanagon. And the lights will be blinking on the dashboard. And the needle will be going up. And flames will be shooting out, and they'll just keep driving. It's fine, it's still running. And when you get it back, it'll just sit there and just go collapse, and all the wheels will fly off. And you'll be like, "What happened?" Like, "I don't know. I was just driving, and all of a sudden, all this bad stuff happened." Okay, you don't want that. You want to just have something that's automatic. It just comes on when it's supposed to come on, goes off when it's supposed to go off, because you're going to forget about it. This lovely person that you love more than life itself is going to forget about it. And then you're going to be harping on that for the rest of their lives. So I don't want to break up beautiful relationships, right? Don't have these switches to turn your stuff on and off. Just let it do it. Have that system working right. Okay, and believe me, it can definitely work properly, and it's not hard. I have stuff on my website, how to troubleshoot the radiator fan system. I would definitely say take a look at that. If it's not working right, fix it. All right, now that rant is now over.
Steve Ruder says, "Nope, so warm in my air cooled."
Well, I'm glad, Steve. At least one person has that.
Billy Shepard says, took out but kept it. That's where the Propex will go.
See, I told you, people take it out. Now, the Propex, I guess if you're going to do that, it would give you a little more room for that. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying. At least if you keep it for the next person and then they can put it back, I guess that's really my main thing. I don't want to take it out and throw it in the trash. Then the next person, 100% guarantee, is going to call me up. "I need a back heater. The last guy was a moron. He took it completely out and threw it away." I'm just telling you, that's what always, I guess it's like security for me to sell somebody another back heater thing, but I don't want to do that. Okay. But I understand, Billy.
Scott Baverty says, "Hi there. I was curious how the backup camera, I do believe, has been 1 month in. In particular, what is it like at night? As the AC unit in the van restricts the rear view, I'd be curious about using it full time."
Okay, that is something I haven't had a chance to get figured out yet. Because, like, I had a test van here I was using it with, and that van is gone now. And in the meantime, we've been trying to get little small things figured out and trying to get holiday things happening and all that kind of stuff. So I've been meaning to set it back up again in another test vehicle and do some nighttime videos and stuff like that. So I will try to do that this week for you and see how you're making out. If anybody on here has purchased the backup camera and wants to give some feedback on that, that would be welcome. People have given me feedback on it, so.
Billy says, "Got my heater hoses today. You should sell two brass fittings with them."
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, to replace the plastic. You can find some brass fittings probably in Home Depot. I was finding some in there a couple weeks ago. They're pretty nice, actually, and they're very inexpensive. All right. Trying to think. Oh, just wanted to give a shout out today, and I'll take you to the site here real quick. Let me do the screen share deal.
Inception.
Okay. Screenception. Bam. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to show you guys, if you guys are in the New Jersey area, we have a yearly event coming up tomorrow that is called Dubs on the Boards 2017. It is in North Wildwood, New Jersey. It's on the boardwalk, and you can kind of see a little picture of it right here. I went last year just to see what it was like. There was probably a total of 2 Vanagons there and maybe 4 buses. Okay, so don't get all like excited, like I'm gonna go and it's gonna be so many Vanagons. No, not really. Okay, so it's mostly Jettas, Golfs, Passats, you know, new Beetles, stuff like that. Maybe some Audis, but it's still pretty cool, and I enjoyed it. And we're gonna try to maybe go tomorrow if we, you know, if everything, all the stars align and everything. So, you know, maybe we would see you there. So that's Dubs on the Board 2017. It actually starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow and goes till 4 p.m. Okay, so there's really no reason to miss it. It's pretty much all day long. And I mean, if you've never been to Wildwood, New Jersey, that would be a reason to go there. You know, Wildwood, New Jersey is a pretty nice place. You're on the beach, and it's basically like Ocean City, New Jersey, except not quite as nice, but whatever. Okay, it's kind of like, what if Ocean City? It's almost like going into Bizarro World to me. When I go down there, it's like Ocean City, New Jersey is like this Christian started place where you can't drink alcohol, and it's like super family friendly and clean and nice. And like Wildwood is like, what if Ocean City, New Jersey wasn't like that, and it was just like everywhere else? What would it be like? Yeah, it's pretty much like this place. So it's kind of like the tattooed, you know, black sheep in the family brother of Ocean City, New Jersey. All right, so now that we've talked about that, let me go back to our regularly scheduled program.
Billy says I'd rather give my money to you than Home Depot.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, I can look into it myself, you know, and see about getting some stuff, but they're not expensive. All right, do we have any other questions before I move on from heater rants?
Indigenous Pathways says, speaking of the radiator, do you have any thoughts of a competitor's radiator baffle sets and installing when replacing a radiator? Cool air is directed through the rad as opposed to flowing unused. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. Go Wesley makes a baffle set for the radiators. I mean, it can't hurt anything. I've never really found a big difference whether it's on there or not. Okay. So it's up to you guys. I mean, the original ones were made out of like this glorified cardboard. And basically at this point in time, a lot of them are gone and whatever. I mean, I would say it does a little bit of work, but I haven't really seen it to do a whole lot. Okay, so if you're expecting your van to, like, you know, whatever, when you do it, like drop 10 degrees or something, that's probably not going to happen, but it can't hurt anything, and it might do a little bit. So that's my opinion on it. I've seen people install it, but I've actually ripped all the old ones off because they just disintegrated when I took them off, and then I put a brand new radiator in, and the thing was awesome. Everything was great. So that does more than the baffle things. Baffling. Okay. All right, let me go into another situation. He says thank you.
No problem.
That always just makes me think of waffles.
So, baffles?
Yeah.
Waffles and baffles have nothing to do with each other whatsoever. All right, so I have got this is a power steering line, high pressure, that goes to the power steering pump of the Vanagon. And we may have talked about this another time in the past. I just got this brand new one here and from France, so I thought I would talk about it for a moment. So another vendor who we just talked about, but I'm not going to say their name again, sells a replacement for this that's got braided stainless steel, and it's got all kinds of stuff and things, and super nice and fancy. Okay, but the biggest thing that all the aftermarket ones are missing is this thing right here. Okay, this is a restrictor piece that the original ones had. I don't know why, but I cannot find a hydraulic shop that can make this and put this into a new line. Because if I could do that, I would have a local shop, like maybe you could take your old ends and they could make a brand new line, and that would be it. And I've had them do that before. So like, 15 years ago when these started going bad, I took it to a hydraulic shop. They said, we can definitely make you a new one. So they made me a brand new one, except it doesn't have this restrictor piece in the middle. Guess what happens when you do that? Power steering pump makes this big whining noise all the time. And eventually, it sounds just like that. Eventually, and this is my beautiful rainbow. Eventually, it doesn't, I don't know if it actually hurts anything, but it's just very annoying. Your power steering pump just buzzes like all the time. Okay. And customers get annoyed. They're like, what is that? I'm like, it's making this funny noise. Well, why? I don't know. Put this brand new hose in, now it's making that noise. And if you look at the competitor's site and their fancy hose they sell, it's in the notes. It says, it will make this noise. Deal with it, suckers. No, it doesn't say that. But it does say, it will make this noise, so get over yourself and buy our stuff because we're awesome. So, yeah, that's a quote. So if you actually want the right thing and you need to make sure it's got this, the only ones that have this are the OE ones. We can get them from Europe. They're not cheap. This is like $3 1/4. Okay, so, but it is available. And we've talked about our other power steering line kits too that we made over the years. This is a piece that you would need because these like to leak. And then you get that like power steering line dripping on exhaust systems and things. It smells bad. All right, do you guys have any questions? We've got some good questions today so far, and we're actually doing pretty good on time. So I might have brought one other thing over there to talk about. Yes, I did. But I wanted to definitely put a plug in for Dubs on the boards and those guys because they're great, and I love them because they're Volkswagen enthusiasts like me and like you. Bam! So we got to support them guys. Okay. More stuff and things?
Yes. Is it the instrument cluster?
Yeah, this dealie over here. All right, guys. We got to talk about this thing right here because love it or hate it, here it is. The instrument cluster. Okay. And all of the funness that it entails. But, these things here are getting hard to get. These things are going for $400, $500, $600, depending on how nice of a condition it's in. And it's pretty crazy. Okay, but that's kind of where we're at. I mean, these things, they don't make them anymore now, and they're starting to have lots of problems and issues. Of course, if you've never pulled this out, I will show you the back. This is why we're having problems and issues. Because on the back, we have this wonderful blue plastic with wiring tracings on here. Okay, I'm trying to make it so you can see that in the light. And you see all these wiring tracing things on this plastic that is thinner and more weaker than the blister packs that you get stuff from Harbor Freight in. Okay, I mean, this plastic is very thin, very flimsy, very easy to break and rip and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if you do some fancy maneuvering on your lights up here and put some extra heavy wattage bulbs in there, you can burn some of the tracks out on this. How do I know that? Because I did it before.
Yes.
Okay. And then sometimes this plug right here, it has a big wide plug that plugs onto it. If you're not real careful with this, all this is just this really fragile black plastic. Okay. It will just crumble apart. Okay, I've seen shops. You know, you have to take this out if you're doing brake, like master cylinder. And I've seen shops where they just basically like rip this thing out because they didn't know how to take it out. Broke everything, broke all these mounts. Then they like tried unplugging this, couldn't figure it out, just ripped that off. And then when they went to put it back, they just jammed it on there, you know, and just shoved this thing back in there and said, "Okay, everything's fine, bye."
No.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, then the customer's coming to me, "What is going on? My instruments lights aren't working. The gauges are going crazy. All this stuff's going crazy." And I look at this thing and I'm like, "Oh my word. Monkeys attacked it because they thought it was a beautiful black banana." I don't know. So yeah, they completely ruined it. So you have to be really careful with these. Be super nice to them. Be gentle. I mean, you see this one. This is broken here. I was nice to it. I didn't beat it. I was good to it, but it still broke. Okay. Right here is where behind your speedometer. Right here, this blue trace right here. This is for that buzzer noise that everybody loves. It's so calming when you're driving on the road at 60 miles an hour and all of a sudden your oil light comes on, flashing and buzzing. It calms me right down. I've had a hard day at the office, you know, just makes me want to go to sleep. But that's where this is right here. Okay, I actually have a video if you want to disable this board. Okay, now I don't encourage that unless you have a gauge on the system, because then you can't really see what's happening. Okay, but you can disable the buzzer by bending one pin out of the way. There's a YouTube video we did on that. I'm not going to talk about it again right now. Go look at that video if you want to disable the buzzer. Okay, but definitely you want a gauge on there because you want to see what's happening to your oil pressure so that if there is a problem, you can pull over. Okay, the buzzer works in that it scares your pants off, but most of the time people will go, you know, think, "Oh, I'm low on oil." They rush back there, dump another, you know, liter or quart or whatever measurement you like in there, and then it causes all kinds of problems because you're overfilled on oil. I bought a van like that. Actually, a couple of times I bought vans like that where people put too much oil in. It fouled the spark plugs, and they said, "Oh, there's something bad's wrong with it." Okay, took the spark plugs out, cleaned them with brake cleaner, put them back in, drained out the oil, put new oil in, and drove that van for years after that, both times. So it's happened multiple times. So don't be somebody that panics and just rushes back there and dumps another thing of oil in, because you might actually cause more problems. Okay. Instead, it's better to have a gauge, believe me, and to see what's happening. Then you can know, okay, my oil pressure is low for real. I should pull over, or that, you know, my oil pressure is fine. So if this thing's freaking out, who cares? Or I'll just disable it. Something you don't see on all of these is this white piece here as well. This is actually your speed sensor for your cruise control if you have factory cruise control. And so they had this little piece here. On the regular ones that would just snap out of here. You put this white piece in here, and now you have a speed sensor. Okay, so that's cool. So if you don't have this, don't panic, because you might not have cruise. What else are we going to talk about? Anybody have any questions on, whoops, upside down, on this?
The Texas boys are watching. Say
Hey
hi
guys,
to the
how's Manny, Mo, and Jack doing? Bubba, Schnubba, and Lubba.
No.
Good to see you guys. I can never remember their names. So.
Goober, Buddy.
Goober, Peanut Butter Jelly, and Crackers.
No.
That's my brother. He's Crackers. All right. Do we have any other questions? That's good to see the Texas boys. Shout out to those guys. If you haven't ever watched their YouTube videos and you're into milking things, go for it.
Jackbox says that he's watching from. I'm gonna pronounce that wrong, so I'm just gonna say he's watching from the UK.
Oh, the UK.
But the name, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, so I'm just not gonna butcher that.
Okay.
He says, "Look after your dad, Terrence." Like, will do.
Yes, Terrence does a great job helping me. This week we were fighting the fight of the decade with a radio install. Man, I hate those things so bad with a passion. And yeah, I'm good at it. So, you know, radio install from heck.
They're literally the worst.
And you spend hours. I mean, we spent 4 hours on a radio install.
But see, this one was special. This one was special,
The
guys,
worst.
because, like, normally you install a radio in, like, a Vanagon. We were installing a radio in a Boss.
Yeah.
And this Boss, the dashboard had this really old radio in it that was like this. He had to get a Sawzall.
A tape deck.
A Sawzall. And saw this hole and curl back all the edges so we could fit this thing in there. And then it was just all the stuff with the wiring, and we blew a fuse like 2 times, and it was just like, you want,
Yeah,
you just
bus
want to
radio
strangle
stuff.
it. It's like
Bus
a pain
radio
in the
stuff.
butt.
Yep, bus radio things are terrible. They're even worse than Vanagon radio things, and I don't like them either. But she did help me. We got it fixed. And, you know, on the way of fixing the radio, we had to fix 16 other things that weren't right under the dash and hadn't been right for years, apparently. But now they're fixed, like the, you know, 12-volt socket and all that fun stuff. So she's learning. I'm trying to teach her, guys. So, and she's taking good care of me. She's helped me out. So on this cluster deal, you know, again, this one has your LED clock or LCD clock or whatever it is. You know, the older ones did not have that. Over here, you have your tack situation. Again, this is a newer version. You have your gas and your temp things over here, which if you have an older one, you have a manual clock, and you have your stuff. I think gas gauge down here, temps up here. And then over here, this is your dimmer for your lights. I don't know if you knew that or not. So this is you can roll this and, you know, make these get dimmer or brighter. Okay, if you never knew that, try it out tonight. Oh, it works. Okay, under your headlight switch. So take good care of your instrument cluster. It will take good care of you. Now, there are kits that replace this blue stuff with wiring. Okay, I have actually had a customer, they sent me their cluster, and I put in the Go Westy one for them. I would say the skill level to put that in is actually above a DIY person. Slightly. Okay, if you're a really good DIY person, you could do it. If you aren't, you might have problems. I had a few glitches doing it myself, and I was like, wow, if a regular person was doing this, they might actually not do a good job. So, and that wiring harness is expensive. It's like a couple $100, I think. It took me an hour and a half to put it in. But it's, you know, so like I said, if you take good care of this, you can save yourself a bunch of time and money and things like that. Okay. So, and, you know, and just make sure when the mechanics are dealing with it, that they're not busting it to death. Because I have definitely seen that. And that is sad. At night, I stay up late and cry all the time. I'm sure that. I haven't slept in years because of all the crying.
Wow.
Okay.
Earlier, Indigenous Pathways said on my newly installed 2.3 engine, the oil light came on.
Oh,
Mechanic found out that the new engine had cheap oil sensor from China, replaced with German oil sensor, and all is well.
Okay, good, good.
And Texas Boy says they're doing good. And then Mom said their names are Rufus, Goober, Buddy, Junior, and Miss Butterfly. So
Okay.
we got that cleared up. And also,
Thank you, Mom.
Jack
Sweetie pie.
Box says his place is pronounced Nuneaton. That's Nuneaton, UK.
Okay, Nuneaton. All right, well, shout out to you.
Nuneaton.
I had a nice customer this week who I have helped over the phone multiple times. I mean, you guys are all nice. Okay, I had a nice customer. Just out of the blue, sent me a check for $50 this week. His name is Peter Jackson. So I want to say thank you to Peter. Basically, he's bought stuff from me before. And yet he had called me a few times and emailed me about some questions. And he just said, hey, you know what? Thanks so much for helping me out with these questions over the phone. And sent me a $50 check. That was great. I definitely appreciate that. Now, I have been on my Patreon page today. Okay, we talked about this several weeks ago, launching the Patreon thing. And so far, guess how many people have signed up for Patreon?
Oh, Which we haven't done a whole lot more.
I haven't really done much for Patreon yet, so maybe it's my fault. Okay, but if you guys want to support us through Patreon, that is up there. Also, something I wanted to talk about real quick, we're getting down to the end of our time, is a new thing that's going to start next week on our site that is called Rivet. And you say, what is Rivet? Are you riveted to your screens to find out? I will tell you. Okay, Rivet is a new service that comes in with our WooCommerce. Okay, so our site is run, our back end of our site is WooCommerce. Okay, and Rivet is this thing where if you buy a part from us and then you want to do a little video about your part, like something about how you put it on, or maybe how it helps you take a trip that week, or something like that. Like, remember Steve today did a video a couple weeks ago where he got some parts and he was all excited and stuff. If you want to do a video about that, you can do that, or some pictures. Again, sometimes I'll send people like a brake master cylinder. They'll send me a picture of their van now that's ready to go on the trip. Okay. Well, you can actually do those kind of social media things on our site. Basically, once you purchase a part, you get an email asking you, do you want to share something to the site? And then you can do that. You can take pictures. You can basically drag and drop them into this little thing, or videos, drag and drop it in there. And then that will go up on the site when other people look at that part. Okay, they will see your pictures of maybe your Vanagon, or whatever you want to share with us. And for doing that, you get a 10% off coupon. Okay, so that's pretty good, I think. So this is a new service. It's starting next week on the site. We actually got it kind of going this week, but it's not going to be fully implemented until next week. So take a look at that next week and tell me what you think. And, you know, maybe we'll talk about that some more next week if you guys are into it and think it's cool. It's something new. It's supposed to help with sales, getting other people excited about, you know, maybe certain parts you're buying or accessories or whatever. So, you know, it's something, I'm always trying something new. I'm always trying something new. We're on Yelp as well. We have a Yelp page, and we have, you know, a Yelp account with them, and we're spending some money with them to see if that'll do anything. So far, whatever, indeterminate, but we'll see.
Earlier, Billy, whoa, my live chat went away. No! Hold on, Billy was asking about something. My internet cut out.
Oh, crash.
Hold on, guys, I'm trying to get the chat back. My internet was like acting stupid on me. Okay. Earlier, Billy said synthetic oil or regular oil. What do you think about that Redline oil? Okay,
I usually just use Castrol GTX, and the reason it's non-synthetic, I'll tell you why. Unless it's a brand new motor that has all new seals in it, putting in synthetic oil into an older water boxer a lot of times will leak. So if you're starting with a brand new engine, and you want to go synthetic, then that's fine. Okay. If you have an older engine and you're trying to put synthetic in there because it's going to do something, the only thing I've seen it do is leak. So Redline makes nice oils. I've used their transmission oils in manual transmissions for years, and they've been good. I've never really used their engine oils. Usually synthetics will use like either Mobil 1, or even Napa has their own synthetic that they sell. I've used both of those, and they've been good. So like I said, if you're just using like regular, if you have an old engine, I would just use 2050 dinosaur oil, regular dead dinosaur oil.
Inorganic is watching again. Hello. Scott Fagerty says, I was lucky enough to come across a cluster with the tech to replace my clock-only cluster. The first time I plugged it in, the digital clock worked, but almost immediately stopped. Any ideas on this? And yes, I have an old cluster for sale. Haha.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that would be. I mean, all that is just a power wire and also a ground wire. So, you know, maybe that power wire that's powering the digital clock, something's not quite right with it. I would check that out. Again, like I said, on this, some people don't know this, so here's another secret tip. If you pop this thing off right here, and this little black deal comes off pretty easy. Okay, boom. Then you've got these nice contacts here. Okay, you want to make sure they're all nice and clean. You can use a Q-tip and some alcohol or something to try to clean that. I use some Scotch-Brite sometimes. Sometimes that's all it is. Like you'll take it apart, it'll be green right here, one of these. Okay, I clean it and it fixes it. But if you want to know what stuff does, when you flip this tape down here, it's actually listed right here. It'll tell you what each individual pin does and the number of it. And it's written on there in some kind of ink stuff. It might be hard to see now, but when you actually pull this and look at it in the light, you'll easily be able to read what it says, alternator. I'm just looking at it right now. Sometimes it's in German, but whatever. You can get an idea of it. So anyway, I'll let you do that that's your fun times homework assignment. I mean, school started this week, so you guys got to go back to school, all right? But you can kind of see it here. You can see the words, okay, written there on that. So that'll tell you what's what. It'll tell you which one's the clock, and then you can kind of see, am I getting power to the clock? Is the clock dead? Is the clock alive? The digital clock is the same or very similar to the ones in rabbits and golfs from the 80s. So if your digital clock, usually they go bad by turning black. You could get a new face from a rabbit or golf one and put that in, and that will work. It will be a slightly weird color, but that's about it.
He says, genius, afternoon sorted.
All right, guys, we're getting to the end of our Tim time, Tim?
Hold on a second. I had to raise my hand.
All right, we're backing up the truck.
Inorganic says, hope there's a fluid leak from my rear tranny synchro. It is where the CV joint connects. Any ideas of what I could go after?
Okay, so he's getting an oil leak from where the CV joint connects. I would pull the CV joint on that side and look in the center. There's like a little diaphragm looking snap thing that snaps into the center. Sometimes they will go bad and it will leak oil out of that. If that is not the source of the leak, there is a seal behind the drive flange that can also go bad, but replacing that is a lot more involved. Like you have you have to take the drive flange off, and then there's these two big Phillips head things I think you have to pull, and you can get that seal out of there. It's no fun. Okay, and then even behind that, there's another. You have a special tool and pull this thing out, and it's got like some O-ring things on there. So hopefully, the easiest thing would be to replace that diaphragm thing in the center, because that just actually snaps on and off. Hopefully, that's all that it is.
Billy wants to know, what do I need to know about breaking my new engine in?
Okay, break-ins, engine break-ins. Wow, we've got so many questions today. I mean, it's like, this is great. Engine break-in. Here's what I do. I start it up and I hold it at 3,000 RPMs. And I'll fluctuate between 2,000 and 3,000. Okay. Actually, I think I hold it around 2,000. And I'll tell you why I do that. Okay. You want to make sure the engine is bled as you're holding it. You want to have somebody bleed the system or bleed the cooling system before you do all that. And you want to have it at 2,000, because here's the problem. The water pump needs to be spinning up to circulate the antifreeze. Okay, if you let it sit there at idle, that's not happening. The engine's going to get really overheated because it's trying to break in, and it's actually making a whole lot of extra heat with the break-in process. So usually I'll sit there and hold it at 2,000 RPMs. You want to keep checking on your temperature and things like that. It's going to go beyond middle, okay, when you're doing it, because it's breaking in and stuff's getting hot. Okay, but then very shortly after as you're doing it, you're going to notice the radiator fans coming on and off. That's good. Okay, so that's happening. You're sitting there. I usually sit there for 30 minutes. Okay, holding the thing at 2,000 RPMs, and it's going to be clacking because your lifters aren't pumped up. It's going to be loud. Okay, and for 30 minutes, you're just sitting there doing that. And you just sit there and watch your temperature set things. You make sure your radiator fan's coming on and off. And make sure your coolant's full. 30 minutes. After 30 minutes and everything as you're doing it, it'll start quieting down. Okay. And as you're doing it, it'll start being not quite as hot. Okay. After 30 minutes, shut it off. Let it cool up down. And then you dump your oil. And then you put brand new oil back in. And also a filter. And then you should be ready to start your road testing and things. Okay. So that's what I do for break-in. I'll tell you, I got that process from Bob Donalds, Boston Bob. That's how he always broke in his new water boxer motors that he would send out to people. And once you do that first 30 minutes of holding the thing at 2,000 and letting it kind of get started there, like I said, you dump the oil, you put in brand new oil. I would only put in, like, say 1040, and definitely do not want to use synthetics on break-ins. Okay, because synthetics will not allow the motor to fully break in. So you only want to use 1040, okay, regular oil on break-in, and you only want to use probably 1040 or 2050 regular oil for like the first 5 to 10,000 miles, because that's your break-in period. Okay, so 5 to 10,000, that's going to be your break-in period. After you do that initial run up and whatever, then for the next, you'd want to drive 500 miles. Then you want to dump the oil again in the filter. Then after that, 1,000 miles, dump the oil and filter. And then after the 1,000 miles, you should be able to start. You're doing your 5,000 mile intervals. Okay, because it should be pretty much broke in by that point. I mean, I built one. We left New Jersey to go to Tennessee. That's about 800 miles. On the way down, the motor had very low power and was having a hard time getting up hills and different things. On the way back, when we came back, it was fine. Why? Because it was breaking in on the way down, and it didn't have full power yet. Once we broke it in all the way, on the way back, it was good. Okay, so break-in is a little tricky time. I know people do all kinds of weird things and break-in. Sometimes like, don't keep it at a certain RPM, vary RPMs, go up hills, go down hills. Bob Donald's thing that he always talked about was on the initial, you keep at 2,000 RPMs for 30 minutes. Keeps the water pump spinning where it should be, and your air coolant circulating, and you're getting rid of the heat. That's really the key. Okay, so there you go.
Says great info. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. And Bob, I say hi to you, Bob. I miss that guy. Bob Donalds and myself had the same birthday, May 10th, 1974. Or actually, no, Bob's was a different year than mine, but May 10th was our birthday, and we would call each other on our birthday and say happy birthday and talk. And I miss that guy a lot. He's been gone for probably 10 years now. It's kind of sad to think about. But we talked a lot over the years. He was a great guy. I really miss him a lot. All right, does anybody else have any more questions before we go out? Today we're actually over our hour, I think.
Not at the moment.
But I enjoyed doing it if you guys have questions. All right, so guys, I hope you had a great, like I said, Labor Day. And thanks for the people in Iceland visiting with us today. If you need a Vanagon mechanic in the summertime, invite me over. I'll come over. In the UK, same thing. I'm not coming over there now. The weather's crap. Okay, so this ain't happening. But hope you guys are enjoying it and getting more miles per gallon with your Vanagon. And we're, like I said, our prayers and thoughts are going out to the people in Texas with Harvey, and also this Irma coming in. Hopefully that'll move out of the way. And if you guys need anything, just let us know. Vanagon, we'll be glad to help you guys out. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and peace out, guys. Thanks.